What is going on, Miami Dolphins fans? Welcome back to the Fins Up Network. It's Ben Morgan, and it is wrapping up Jets Dolphins week with our final preview and prediction video of the week. And as we have been doing for this particular video, took in some listener questions. So I got to get to all of those. And then we are going to get to my official prediction for the Dolphins Jets. Week 5 matchup at MetLife Stadium. But as we do, and as you know, drop your score predictions in the comments below. And if you have not subscribed yet, do so because the quest to 2,000 subscribers continues. So get on that if you haven't already. Let's jump into these questions so we can get through them all. Question number 1, is Mike McDaniel going to play it safe with Teddy Two Gloves? Or are we going to see more of our air superiority? And I actually copied that question as was submitted because it has been a minute, Dolphins fans, since we could talk about our passing game as air superiority. So I had to leave it in there like that. But to answer the question, if you think about what the Dolphins have been trying to accomplish this year on first and second down, it's been a healthy run pass mix, more passing than I thought we would see as the season was starting. So I think maybe we be a little bit more conservative on first and second downs with Teddy at the helm. But at the end of the day, keep in mind, we have the NFL's first and 6th leading wide receivers. We are not going to ignore that. We are not going to push that aside just because we have a backup quarterback. So I don't think it's going to be this air superiority. It's not going to be Dolphins Ravens by any means when Tua was just throwing the ball wherever, whenever he wanted to. It's not going to be that. It's going to be a little bit more conservative than that, but it's not going to be this ultra play it safe. We've got an inexperienced backup. We have a backup quarterback that is getting paid top backup quarterback money. This is why they brought him in. It's to perform in times like these. They're not going to completely handcuff him, but like I said, it's not going to be the same offense that we saw from Tua the first couple of weeks before he was injured. Let's go to the next question. Will Josh Boyer switch to a cover 2 if Xavier Howard cannot play? I'd also like to see Andrew Van Ginkel split snaps with Melvin Ingram. So real quick, so Friday's injury report basically said Xavier Howard was a limited participant, listed as questionable for the game, but everything was all the signs were pointing to him playing. Here's the deal, though. With groins injury, plural groins injuries, that can pop up at any point in time in the game. So even if he starts, he's not going to be 100%. And if that were to reoccur, he's probably going to sit the rest of the game. But the thing we've seen so far is Byron Jones hasn't played all season. We've just been plug and play. We've brought guys in, whether it's Keon Crossan, whether it's moving Nick Needham outside, bringing Kohu in to play the slot. They've got guys that they've just been plugging in. I think that they would end up doing the same with Xavier Howard if he were to go out as well, sort of like what we did towards the end of the Cincinnati Bengals game. I don't think that they would necessarily change the scheme, the strategy that they're going in with. I don't think they would change it on the back end. I think they would change that more up front more than anything. Maybe they give a couple of different looks, try to confuse Zach Wilson, more stuff up front versus what we're going to see in the back end. And that lends itself beautifully to the Andrew Van Ginkel portion of that question, because Mike McDaniel talked a little bit about Van Ginkel throughout the week, earlier in this week, I should say. And he basically said, you know what, Van Ginkel was having a great offseason. He was looking really good in training camp. And then you get the unexpected appendix. That's not anything that really happens on the field, obviously. And it's kind of set him back a little bit. But if you think about it, too, they brought in Trey Flowers because of that injury, or partially at least because of that injury. You already had Ingram, who, by the way, was the September AFC Defensive Player of the Month. So he's done pretty damn well the way it is. You still got Phillips. You still got Agba. I think that what their strategy with Van Ginkel is to just kind of slowly work him back. Make sure he's completely healthy, because right now it's not like we have a shortage of these guys. But I agree, once he is back, once he's full throttle, ready to go, if you can rotate these pass rushers, continue to make them fresh. And if you think about when the Dolphins defense really started clicking last year, it was about that halfway point through the season. So as this team's defense continues to find its identity, continues to gel as a unit, I think we're going to see more pressure added. We're going to see more guys getting to the quarterback. And hopefully Van Ginkel is definitely one of those guys. Let's go on to the next question here, quarterback question. Will Miami try Skylar Thompson at quarterback? He looked really good in preseason, and now is a good time to see what we've got. Here is my outright take on the backup quarterback situation because, yes, Skylar Thompson came in the preseason, and I had very, very low expectations for him as a seventh-round rookie out of Kansas State who didn't have the most impressive tape the way it was. But here he is coming in the preseason, slinging it around, putting up these killer stats, literally making people think like, hey, yo, Teddy Bridgewater is trade bait. He's expendable. Where I think the Dolphins fall on this, where I think the coaching staff falls on this, is that was preseason versus second and third stringers against vanilla defenses. Whereas Teddy Bridgewater, well, yeah, he didn't look as good in the preseason. The dude has been around for a long time. He's seen everything. He has the experience. They paid him top dollar backup quarterback money for a reason. And with Tua having that injury history, here's the reason. It's to perform in these games. And if you think about back in the day, I shouldn't say back in the day, back in the Flores era, if Tua had a struggling first half, boom, you'd pull him and bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick. If Teddy's struggling a little bit, I don't think we're going to see him yanked at halftime. I think he's on a pretty damn long leash. It would have to be really, really, really bad performance for him to get yanked in this game. And also, we don't really know how long Tua is going to be out either. I don't think they want to shuffle through all these backup quarterbacks just kind of as place fillers. I think they're going to give Teddy Bridgewater the full shake. They're going to let him have it this season as the primary backup. And then the goal with Skylar Thompson is to be the long-term solution at quarterback too. So yeah, what's the phrase go? The most popular player on the team sometimes is the backup quarterback. And then this time it's the backup's backup. I think we're just in a situation where that's kind of the case right now. But I think when Tua is out, this is Teddy's team, and he's going to have a fairly long leash. Let's hit one more question here before we get to my final prediction. So will the Dolphins start having any success running the ball, and will it take a change at left guard or right tackle to make it happen? Great question, because we all thought the running game would kind of be here by now. We are all waiting for it to happen with Mike McDaniel and run game coordinator and that being a specialty. But man, there's been a lot of things that have worked against that. And yes, I do think we'll have some success moving forward, but I'm going to tell you why I think might be delayed a little bit longer. First and foremost, continuity. Tua's injury impacts the run game as well, because as this team gets into the first year of Mike McDaniel's system, it was going to take some time to gel. It was always going to take some time for this to become a complete unit. Well, that just got halted as well with Tua not being in the game. And now if you look at the offensive line, Teron Armstead is dinged up. Austin Jackson gets hurt right away. Greg Little replaces him. He gets the hand and wrist injury. Liam Eichenberg's been struggling. The offensive line hasn't really been able to gel and become that unit either. So I think we will see the running game take off a little bit, but I think it's going to take Tua coming back, getting more continuity with the offense, and getting that offensive line set as well, which bleeds well into that next question. Will it take a change at left guard and right tackle? It's options. I mean, it's really what comes down to options that you have, because once Austin Jackson gets back, this coaching staff is going to have to ask itself, what do we trust more or least, however you want to word it? Eichenberg at left guard or Greg Little at right tackle? Because while Greg Little was fine right away, ever since he's had that hand injury, he's kind of been thrown around a little bit too. His performance hasn't been as great as it was when he first started there. And Liam Eichenberg has continually graded out as the Dolphins' worst offensive lineman so far this year. So do you put Austin Jackson back to his original starting spot this season at right tackle and live with Eichenberg? Or do you say, hey, Austin Jackson's got some experience playing guard as well, move him there, and we can live with what Greg Little provides us at right tackle? So at the very end of the day, maybe it banks on that a little bit, but I think it's more so just continuity throughout the entire situation more than anything, and getting Tua back and getting the right pieces in on offense. But let's jump into that final score prediction, because I've got the Miami Dolphins leaving that game with a victory 24-14. And at the end of the day, having a backup quarterback is obviously never a great situation to be in. But think about the situation that Teddy Bridgewater finds himself in. He gets to start for literally his hometown team. Yes, it is a road game, but he's been there before. Like I said, he's seen the defenses before. Even though Robert Saleh's like calling card is defense, Teddy Bridgewater has seen it all at this point in time. So I don't think in this game necessarily that it's going to be huge that Tua is out. This probably sounds terrible to say, and I hate myself for saying it. But if Tua was ever going to miss a game against the Jets, isn't a terrible consolation. That's not a bad team to have to play with your backup against, because at the end of the day, if the Dolphins defense can get to Zach Wilson, think about how many games he's really played. In reality, was last week was his first start of the season. Then he played in a few games last year as well. But he's still a young quarterback, and if you can get to him, and if the Dolphins can dial up some exotic blitzes, finish with sacks on him, even moving him off the platform is great. But I remember in the game last year against him, he was a little bit slippery. They kind of hung around until the second half, and we really took it to him. But if you can get him kind of seeing ghosts, get him rushing some throws, get him to the ground, ending possessions, this is going to be a defensive game. I don't think this is going to be a pretty game by any means. I think there's going to be some rust shown on the offensive side of the ball. With a new quarterback, it'd be hard for there not to, despite the fact that, yes, Teddy is getting some extra practice reps this week, getting some first-team reps. That's all good. But I don't think we're going to see him run up 38, 40 points. If they do, by all means, I'm happy to be wrong. But I think it's going to be more of like a little bit of an ugly game. Obviously, I got the Dolphins as double-digit winners. But I think that the defense can really control this game, and Teddy can do enough to get the job done. But that is what I've got, Dolphins fans. Let's hear your predictions as well. Drop those in the comments. Most importantly, let's just get this damn win on Sunday, get back to our winning ways. And I will be back at some point on Sunday as well to follow up my recap and takeaways from Sunday's Miami Dolphins, New York Jets games. But that is my time for today, Dolphins fans. And until next time, Fins